Welcome back to the Pirate Ragnar channel. My name is Alistair, and you might think it's a bit odd that I'm starting one of these road trip videos here, in the editing room, or with the helmet on, or with current content at all, since this road trip took place back in 2018. Let me tell you a story before we dive into just how horrible Day 9 really was. Oh, I don't think I can do the whole thing with the helmet on. The actual footage that I have from Day 9 consists of not a whole lot other than my hands and my helmet as I flounder from one mistake after another to one mishap after another. Every trip will have its bad days. It's just a fact that the universe loves to throw that at you, so you best be prepared for it. The last and final nail in the coffin that day, though, was that the chin camera, this camera, doesn't have any footage in this episode. That's because after a very long and very frustrating day, when I thought that everything that could go wrong already had gone wrong, I made one last final slip up. I somehow, and believe me, I've racked my brain time and time again trying to remember what I could have done that led to this particular turn of events. I've checked every hard drive that I own. I've looked over that laptop a million times. I've checked every flash drive and every SD card. The footage just doesn't exist. I had somehow forgotten to dump the footage from the chin camera onto my laptop that night. The following morning, as was my habit on that trip, I put the SD cards back into the cameras. I formatted them on the cameras. Fatefully, with that last single button press, I wiped all of the data from the previous day. It's something that I've kicked myself over and over and over again. It's actually made it very difficult to get to Day 9 and actually want to make these videos, particularly because I knew it was such a rough day, and there was a part of me that I think for a long time it was a side of the trip that I just didn't really want to share with anybody. With a lot of introspection, I've realized that it probably is some of the most important kind of footage that you can share with people, at least to share my experiences that day. Like I said, every trip is going to have its bad days. It's par for the course. And dealing with those bad days is what can make a great trip miserable, or can turn a great trip into something phenomenal that you'll remember forever. So long story short, this episode only has footage from the Hero 4, which has seen better days. It wasn't in this condition back in 2018, but she still works, so I still have it. There's also a few random clips from my phone. But that's why I wanted to find any excuse that I could to record some footage with the GoPro session so that it just doesn't feel left out this episode. Additionally, I just want to take a few moments to talk about my mindset that day. At the start of the day, on Day 9, my end goal was to get to Savannah, Georgia. I had family there. Every time I've taken one of these trips, I've always tried to get down to Georgia, whether or not Chris was actually stationed at home. Quite often he was stationed overseas, and I would do my best to go down and visit his wife and his daughter. Only a few months before this trip actually took place, we had received some very devastating news that Chris had passed away while serving his country overseas. As much as I thought that I had dealt with the emotions related to that, as anyone who's experienced any loss knows, I was just being a hard-headed fool. The closer I got to Georgia, the more my brain forced me to think about things, to dwell on memories that I had of him when we were children, being alone that trip and on that day, and experiencing all the ups and downs and the turmoil that was happening that day. It's really, really obvious when I went through the footage that that's what was getting to me. I do talk about it in the footage that I was recording. Most of this episode is really just consists of the on the road clips, but there's not much of anything else that fits into this particular episode. I did it so many times because I needed to voice some of the frustrations in my head, and I wanted to record all of it at the time thinking I probably wouldn't use it. Alone on that trip and in my helmet that day, it was eventually all I could think about. And my mental state that I recorded and some of the audio that I recorded really, really shows that. In the end, I love you, Chris, and I miss you more than ever. Anyway, I won't go into any more of the details now. Let's dig into this footage and see what 2018 me had to say.
That kind of sucks. That chain and tire wore through way faster than it should have. And these guys talked me into just letting them replace it so I'm not stuck doing it on the road. Now I'm really far behind to make it to Savannah tonight. It's a good 10-hour ride. $800 later. Brand new front and back tire though, so that'll last me the rest of the year. But it's a cheap chain, so I'm hoping that'll get me home. If not, I'll have to pick up another $50 cheap chain and toss it on somewhere along the route. But a new sprocket for the back is that sprocket that I put on just a few months ago. It's fucking garbage. So I don't know if it's the cheap parts that I got that are contributing to it, or again, if it's something that I did maintenance-wise.
As I'd covered on a few previous episodes already, but I'll rehash it here very quickly. One of the biggest things that I learned on this trip was an error in my thinking when it came down to chain maintenance. It was part of my routine every morning. I would wake up, find coffee somewhere in the motel that I was staying, and then I would go down and I would maintenance my bike. So that meant making sure that my indicators were still working. It meant checking the brake fluid, meant checking my oil, and it also meant checking my chain, waxing it up, and tightening it if it needed it, which at the time it seemed like it needed it every single day. After I would do all that, I would then pack everything up, bring it from the motel room out to the bike, load the bike up, and get underway. What this particular chain of events caused was that I was doing that maintenance, particularly the chain maintenance, with no weight on my bike. I never quite understood why you always need a little bit of, 3/4 or whatever it is that your bike manual actually says in terms of how much play that you want in your chain. But the main reason is because your swing arm doesn't sit still. Your swing arm moves based on the weight that's on the bike. As your swing arm moves, it changes the tension on your chain. With myself and my bags and all the weight that I was carrying with tools and everything else on the bike, the swing arm just simply wasn't in the same place as it was when I was maintaining the chain, when it was just the bike itself. Well, with all the extra weight, it was even worse. So effectively what I was doing is riding 700 kilometers minimum each day on a chain that I had seriously over tightened. The chain would stretch, the sprockets would wear, and the next morning I would repeat the process. So, pro tip, save yourself the headaches that I've made myself experience during this entire trip, and do your maintenance with your weight in place. All right, let's get back to the footage.
Not a super happy camper now. Now I'm waiting for them to finish the front tire so that I can get back on the road. I'm just really hoping it's not super late by the time I get to Savannah tonight, because I'll be riding a few hours in the dark, it looks like. I don't really have a choice. They're an hour ahead there, so I'm losing an hour already. Anyway, as is life.
Man, what a day. I'm just outside New Orleans. Got brand new tires, brand new rear sprocket, a brand new heavy-duty chain. It's not O-ring or anything, but had to cheap out somewhere, which is probably the thing that got me into this fucking mess anyway, but, Nope. But to be fair, I didn't know that yet. So, cut me some slack. This might take a while to actually exit here. So, the main thing that I really want to talk about, I really got to figure out and get a handle on my depression. This particular recording may not actually be very useful to use for the blog or something like that, unless I do a what it's like to be depressed on the road. I think there's some natural tendencies here to get depressed because you get so lonely, on the road. But I at the same time, I don't really have that excuse today. I just had a fantastic evening with Ozzy and Kai. Just brilliant to reconnect with him, and on a different level than we were ever able to connect before. Got to socialize with them yesterday.
after several days again alone. I got to chat with Peter for a bit today, my dad. I got to talk on the phone with Katie and Sean, even if it was very short, to kind of plan seeing them in the next few days. And then I finally got back on the road, having changed my plan. Instead of doing 10 and a half hours on the goddamn freeway to try and get to Savannah in one day and miss a lot of what I could be seeing that I'd planned to see coming through Louisiana and New Orleans. I wanted to go across the bayou and those roads that we see in the movies all the time. But if you're here, you don't really have an opportunity to do it. And then if you rush off from Baton Rouge to Savannah, you're going to bypass all of this. Inevitably, what I did was I made a choice to take an extra day before getting to Savannah, and then I just got depressed. It's hitting me again just thinking about it. I mean, the weather was shit. I've been driving through rain, which I gotta say, I love rain down here in the sense that it was boiling hot here, and then the rain came and it cooled off a little bit, but the rain's not cold. So it's just not something you ever have to really concern yourself or worry about, the rain being so cold that like it is up north. It's actually kind of nice to drive through as long as it doesn't get too crazy that it makes the driving conditions themselves questionable. And I have brand new tires, which actually isn't great. It's better than the ones that I had before, but until they work in, you don't really want to take them in heavy rain or something like that, right? You know, we're a few hundred kilometers down now, so I imagine they're doing okay. So I don't know where these really sad feelings came from. I know something that I've really not dealt with yet, not in totality, is my brother Chris passing away, which is why I want to go to Savannah and see Shannon and Katie. Shannon is his little girl, and Katie was his wife. And I've known Katie for years. We all went to school together down in South Carolina. Well, I guess up and over in South Carolina from where I am now. This is not going to be very good content for anybody, but I think I need to do this. Just need to talk this through in my head. I thought I dealt with all of this, and that I was ready to just go and see Katie and say goodbye to Chris. But every time I think about it, or I cross a fucking bridge called Veterans Memorial Bridge, it hits me, you know? He's gone. He's gone. He was the best of us. Just a beautiful, wonderful person. And I will never, ever get to tell him that. Anyway, his daughter, my mom is right. My mom mentioned that she wanted to get her hair cut short this year, so Katie let her do that. And she looks so much like Chris. I always thought she looked a lot more like Katie, but she doesn't. I mean, she's definitely got Katie in her, but she's just a splitting image of Chris. I don't know if that's what really got me going and really had me feeling down in the dumps, or if it's a combination of stuff. Fuck, I don't like spending $800 to fix a bike on a road trip, to do the stuff that I knew I was going to spend. I just wasn't anticipating it actually being that much. I could not talk those guys down. Not for my life. I mean, I did a few times. I probably saved $70, $80 in labor that he was going to charge me. As you can see, there's some more terrible weather that way. I just so happen to be in relatively nice weather right now, which is unusual, I suppose. I was expecting to just be in inclement weather all day long. It won't surprise me when it hits me again or when I drive into it. I am going to try and detour here and actually go through New Orleans before I start taking the bayou route out. Just again so I can say, hey, I've been to New Orleans. Not just by it, to it. So what's the plan next? From here, I go to Savannah, Georgia. I'm going to try and make it at least as far as Mobile tonight. Maybe find a motel there. I was again playing around with the idea of tenting it, but I mean, I'd be open to it if I find a park that's open and it's not pouring rain. The one camera just quit on me. Yeah, maybe I'll record a bit more when I'm actually driving through New Orleans. I'm in a better state of mind now, having kind of talked that through and seeing some nice weather there. Anyway, so we'll see what happens. I'll probably get back at you guys, or actually record something maybe that will be useful for general, whereas a lot of the beginning of this stuff, I don't know that I really want people to hear me breaking down. fucking crying to an extent. Like, I wasn't bawling my eyes out, but anyway, not that there's anything wrong with that, especially when someone you consider your brother passes away. You know, that's gonna be tough on anyone. So I shouldn't be so hard on myself. It's just I really thought I had all this under control. You know. Anywho's, here we go again. First thing I want to say is thank you so much to everybody who's been responding and giving me words of encouragement. I know I've kind of said this already, but once again, I kind of had a dark moment this morning, and I posted a video of me just lamenting, it feels, now that I look back at it. It's just me being a little mope outside the motorcycle shop. The long story short, I've had several people contact me even and suggest that they're happy to send me some money if I need it, and the support and assistance that people are prompted to give is incredible, and I could not thank them enough. I'm not currently in a state where I need that kind of assistance, which is good. You know, it would be a different story if I really was stuck needing that kind of help, you know, but it's not the case, luckily. So I'm going into to New Orleans, but I don't actually have anything mapped here. I didn't want to bypass it. I realized that the map that I plotted really definitely took me on the road out of New Orleans that I wanted to take, but it didn't take me through New Orleans. It kind of took me around it. So I thought, nah, why not? Why don't you just get in there, drive through for the sake of being able to say that you've been where that bad moon rises, and then just get out of the city. Like I said, I don't really have a destination requirement today like I have other days. I would like to get to Mobile. If I don't get to Mobile, I'm not too concerned about that. Yeah, I gotta head that way. All right. People just seeing what's happening to me and being willing to send me money or words of encouragement or check to make sure that I'm okay. It's just, guys, I didn't expect that. I'm such a fucking hermit most of the time. I'm so bad at socializing. Again, thank you. So I wanted to say that. I really, really, really appreciate it, and you guys are awesome. This is apparently New Orleans, and I feel like I'm on a fucking highway. What's with that, New Orleans? I thought you guys had a city somewhere. I'm apparently driving right towards it, but I don't see no city. So I shouldn't keep this going on too long because I filled up these cards with a bunch of footage earlier on the first audio narrated bit that I did, and I would like to save space for actually catching the sights, particularly if it's going to rain all fucking day. Then I'm not going to have really any chance to charge this, or at least not while it's in use. So I'll have to pack it away charging, and even that's questionable because if it's pouring rain, then I usually turn the electronic stuff off. Oh look, Orleans Parish. So parish here is like county everywhere else. They don't use the term county in New Orleans. They use the term parish, which is, again, to say that it originates from the religious connotation and meaning, but that's not all it is. Here it ceased being parish in the sense of like church grounds and stuff and became the definition for a county. That's how they break up New Orleans or Louisiana into its various areas for governance. If you see those signs, it's not like I'm driving into church grounds or something. All right, so it looks like I'm off the highway now, and I'm going to head into New Orleans proper, see what kind of sights there are. That's the other thing. I do gotta find out from some people that know better than me why exactly I'm going through oil at such a ridiculous rate, because it seems ludicrous how quickly I'm going through it.
Several very wet and windy hours later.
Man, I have made one wrong choice after another today. I am now soaked from head to toe. Literally, the inside of my helmet is wet from having to crack this open so much to keep the fog down, that enough rain has gotten in that's soaked. My jacket stopped repelling water a while ago, or at least has been seeping in all the spots that it can, so my chest is all wet. I think the middle part of my legs are the only part that might be dry. Maybe. I can't really tell. And then my shoes are full of water. My waterproof shoes are full of water. Like my dad suggested that I change course and head inland. But because I didn't feel like I was needing to rush anywhere, I was like, no, big deal. Why don't I just keep trying to see the scenic stuff that I'd intended to see? Right? No, because I can't record any of it because this thing is dead. It ran out of juice. I can't charge it when it's pouring rain. So there's just that one, and it's facing the wrong fucking direction. And I'm so miserable. I just want to keep going until I find somewhere that I can go inside. And it's not like I'll ever get dry, but just, oh my God, I can't believe it. I hope I'm getting to the end of whatever the fuck I'm doing here, man. Because once I get on the other side of this, then I can find somewhere to just get some gas and grab just something to eat because I'm starving. Then I'll be able to plot a course inland and figure out a reasonable distance that I can make it so that I don't have so much to do tomorrow still. Because I haven't made the distance at all. I'm like an hour and a half from Baton Rouge. Like, good traffic in good weather, I'm an hour and a half from Baton Rouge. And it's 5 o'clock, just about 5 o'clock. I've made it nowhere. And now there's no chance I'm going to sleep in a fucking tent because I need to find a Motel 6 that has blow dryers in their room because it's the only way I'm going to dry my shoes and stuff by morning. There's no way. And then, of course, tomorrow it's probably just going to be just as shit. Even if I don't make it that much closer to Savannah, what I need to do is make it further inland so that I have a better chance of avoiding this weather tomorrow. And then I can set off really early and hopefully get to Savannah without it being too late. Because now I've jerked Katie around a few times. Keep saying, oh yeah, I'll be there today. Oh, I'll be there late today. Oh, now I'll be there early tomorrow morning. Oh, well, now I might not be there till tomorrow evening. Oh, anyway. It's just, I had to vent that. Man, sometimes you just realize that you were even blessed with the opportunity and the suggestion to do something different, but what did you do? No, you can't make the same dumb mistakes you've been making all fucking day. And here I am, living with the consequences. Oh, shit. Anyway, I'm trying to think. I cut the video off, but I'm just trying to think if there's anything worth bringing up or saying now, or anything else I want to get off my fucking chest, other than the water. You guys can probably hear that in the helmet. Ding, 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 ding. That's the rain. Yep, that's the curtain of rain that's in front of me, and beside me, and around me, in every fucking direction. I've just got to get somewhere, anywhere. Oh my God. I don't know what I'm doing. I am just following a car, and I got a truck coming up behind me. I have no fucking idea where I am. The mapping shit has just been, because I can't interact with any screens because they're all fucking wet. So it's like impossible for me to take a peek at where I am, how far I've got to go, anything.
If memory serves, the rest of the day was pretty uneventful. I rolled into Mobile around 8 p.m., just after the sun was setting, and I had a rather disappointing meal from McDonald's before I made my way to the Motel 6 that I was staying at. I then attempted to dry my boots, my gloves, my jacket, my pants with the heater in the room in Alabama in the summer and with the blow dryer. So it got uncomfortable in there pretty quick. But on a positive note, I didn't actually accomplish drying anything either because it was too humid. So I was pretty wet the next day. And that's just, again, something that you have to deal with sometimes on these kinds of trips. Luckily, once you get moving again the next day, as long as it's not raining again, then the air is going to dry you pretty quick. That's why it's always good to have a jacket or pants that have air vents, so you can open them up. You know, they might be waterproof, but you want to have those air vents so you can open them up, if not just to cool down, to dry things out. But that's for day 10, so we'll get to that in another video. I will end this video, though, with some uplifting words that I did manage to record that night in the hotel room before I decided to crash, and after I totally forgot to dump footage from that camera. Well, I just wanted to take the opportunity to thank everybody for encouraging words and offers of help, all kinds of stuff. I just had a particularly rough day today on the trip, but you just got to remind yourself every once in a while that on these trips, not everything is going to go perfect. Things are going to go wrong, and if today is the worst day that I have on the entire trip, then it's still a success. Like, there's going to be times when you miss your family, when you miss your friends, you miss human contact, where the rides itself, like just the distance that you need to cover, or the weather, like today that you have to get through, just things like that, they're not always going to be brilliant. But the point in these trips isn't that every moment is going to be wonderful. It's the overall experience. And just, yeah, you got to remind yourself that sometimes. Like I said, I just wanted to take a second, and I had a whole bunch of people who reached out to me today to either offer assistance in some way or to just really encourage me to keep going or make sure that I'm doing okay. So I just wanted to say thank you to each and every one of you. So if anyone else ends up deciding to go on some ridiculously long, over 10,000 kilometer road trip and you have a bad day or two, just don't let it get you down, because the rest of the days make up for it, or the entire trip makes up for it. So, all right, I'll catch you guys later. Thanks again.